Hey, I got something to say. I'm just so sick of hearing everyone complain. I know it's tough and I know there's pain, but hitting bottom is the only way to change. So I'll keep hustling, you keep struggling. Bitch, I'm humbling, keep mumbling. I'll keep doubling, you keep bluffing. You've got nothing, I'll keep hustling.
Welcome to CryptoEMC. I'm known as the chart artist. With me is my trade buddy Fibonacci Lee. Today, Lee, we've got a big one. We're going to be talking about Telos.
Yeah.
And
no trading today. No trading. Stop me from buying this coin right now.
Are you sure? I need to be Lee's little. I need to prevent this guy from FOMOing in. Come on, this is not right, Lee. I'm going to put you in the back room so that you can watch the YouTube with the rest of everybody.
I'm going to sit on my hands.
Right, guys. So Telos, we've been talking about Telos a little bit, and I think today is going to be a big day because it could be the big reveal. Now, normally what we say and what we're on about is we want to give you guys your medicine. It's not and our vegetables. It's not about FOMO, hype, sweets, and all these things. But I think today, before we bring in everybody, let's have our pudding first. Lee, let's have a little bit of fun and talk about the pros and the cons about Telos, and why we are bullish on this, and why from a technical analysis point of view, this is amazing. And then once we've got that base, I think let's bring in everybody to just bring in that fundamental vegetables that we need to see what's going to cook here. Okay, Lee, so Telos. We've got Telos price charts. We can actually open up a chart for you guys and share this chart with you guys. And I want to share with you guys a little trick that I use when I look at projects like this. So what do I have here? Over here, I've got my screen. Let me quickly bring it up. There's my screen. I'm going to bring Lee in my face to the bottom. Lee, so yesterday, maybe what you can do is just give us a quick, in a few seconds, what was the verdict with Telos yesterday after what we said?
Not in the buy zone. Tier-wise, it's really not in the buy zone. And I'm desperately waiting for that price to drop to this 80 cents at least, that imbalance area. That's only tier-wise. That's why, we really like the project, but buying right now at 120 is really not. Outside of any of my technical analysis skills to buy the coin right now. So I don't know who else out there can't wait and jumped into this price yesterday as we spoke about Telos. Myself, I haven't bought any. I'm still waiting for the perfect price. The fair price, in my opinion, to hit before I jump into these assets.
Now, let's just quickly remind everybody, Lee, what is it that CryptoEMC is about? Is crypto emotions equals the market cycle, but there's a place for everything. Technical analysis is how we go about managing risk. People that use technical analysis wrong gamble. They draw a line and think it's buy, and that's the thing. And they end up becoming gamblers. Fundamental analysis is giving us the reason why. So if we do our fundamental analysis properly and thoroughly, we understand why it gives us the resolve to hold this thing through a bear market, to understand what is the end goal, and to give the project them the needed amount of time for them to achieve their goals. And if fundamental analysis is done wrong, we know that that's how you get those FOMO hodlers. They just buy it and say, let's just give it enough time and it will work itself out. We know that after bear markets that a lot of these coins don't ever actually come to light ever again once we hit bear market. So that's important. So we want to do fundamental analysis right. And then obviously, lastly, Lee, we talk about emotions. Emotions is the driving force. All these lines and all these information means nothing because in the end of the day, it's the finger that does the buy and the sell. And if that voice inside you prevents you from getting in because it's too scary or forces you to get in because it's moving up, that's normally how we lose and how we wreck ourselves. So we don't want to be doing that. So we always want to be looking at these three pillars before we go about looking at a project. So with that being said, Lee, now let's look at Telos quickly. And I'm going to bring it back up So we've got our buy, and Lee is acting against that FOMO. He sees the fundamentals. He wants this, but he knows that he's not supposed to buy because where's the risk? If we look at where it's at now, risk is very risky. So we don't want to be going there. It can go to the moon from here. Nothing is impossible. That's the reality. But we want to be doing something that can give us consistent results, and hoping doesn't give consistent results.
Well, I mean, for me, that would be more like an investment buy, a long-term buy. But if I really want to trade this, you can always switch to a smaller time frame and take a trade. But that would be only a trade.
That's true. Okay, so now with that being said, let's look at the tokenomics. So at the moment, there is a market cap of 308 million, and there's a circulating supply of 255 million. What does this actually really mean? With a total supply of 355 million and a 24-hour trading volume of about 6 million. So what does it mean? Well, what I like to do is when I look at these things is to try and identify where the max potential is, whether this is undervalued, overvalued, whether this is safe or unsafe. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's go to Bitcoin. We all know Bitcoin. We all trust Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the big daddy. So the easiest thing that I like to do is when I look at Bitcoin, I'm going to quickly bring up my calculator. Not my calendar, my calculator. So what I like to do is I'll take the market cap of Bitcoin, which at this stage is 800. Lee, just check that I typed them correctly. 762,114,308. That's the market cap. And if I divide that by the trading volume, what does that actually mean? It tells me whether there's a lot of money and tokens left on the network locked away for the retirement money, or whether people are at the stage indecision, thinking I need to be in, thinking I need to be out, and so forth. So if I divide that by the trading volume, which is the 24-hour trading volume, which is 17 million. So let's quickly type that in. 17472 or 17 billion, sorry.
Billion, yeah.
458. It's easier on a number pad. I apologize. I didn't envision this to work so horribly wrong on my calculator on the laptop. 64.
I think there is something wrong here.
Yeah, that's
17472.
17472 458 464
646.
So now I'm going to hit the enter button, and it's got a factor of 46. Now, what does that mean? Well, if this was the same amount, if that was the total market cap and the trading volume was the same, what would that be? That would be 1. It divides into, it goes into 1, which means that everybody is in and out on this thing every day. So it tells us a higher number means that it is good. So if we look at an Ethereum as such, and we do the same argument, that factor is sitting at around 22. And we look at Solana, that factor is sitting at 12. And if we do the same, and I'm not going to do it because I'm just going to waste everybody's time, but you can go do it on your own. This one is sitting at 48 as well. So it tells me that the money that's there is there to stay in the same way that the money that is in Bitcoin is money that's there to stay. So that's a good thing. Now, you can choose any dead project, and the argument can be, yeah, but if it's a dead project, maybe money would stay there as well. And you would actually find that the number gets lower and lower and lower on the weaker the project gets. So go and test some dead projects. You'll be scared to see what the trading volume is versus the amount of volume in the network. So for me, that is a big bullish sentiment. Another thing to keep in mind, if we go back to CoinGecko and we actually go and have a look at all the coins according to the market cap rank, and I think this is now where the big pudding comes in. If we look at this and we look at where Bitcoin is at the moment, and maybe I just need to, for this exercise, just expand my screen a little bit. So let's have a look at where we're at the moment. At the moment, Telos has got a market cap of 300 million. So what would the price be if Telos has got a market cap of 3 billion? Well, on the first page, we when are we going to see the billions? There's 5 billion. There, let's go down 4 billion. There's the 3 billion. So it will be around in the 40 ranges. So for that to happen, the price of $1.20 or $1.10, where's that, is going to be $11, $12 for that to be at that market cap. But let's quickly look at the competitors, the realistic equals that we can compare this to. Well, we can compare it to Solana, we can compare it to Terra, and we can compare it to Polkadot before the adoption. And look at where their market caps are: 20 billion, 22 billion, Avalanche 22 billion, Cardano 34 billion. So in theory, what that means is from where we're at now, if we start going into the 30 billions, that's 100x, which means that gives us $120 Telos. Is it possible? Well, we've got the CEO here today, and we're going to ask him a few questions, and then we'll ask you to decide whether that is possible and probable. Lee, before we dive into it, is there anything else that you want to do to prevent yourself from sitting on your hands?
I don't know.
Okay, so I think it's time. Let's bring in the CEO of the foundation, the Telos Foundation, Justin. Let's bring in. Hi, Justin. How are you doing, buddy? I think
Justin,
you're
you're
muted there, my
muted.
friend.
Sorry, I was on mute. How you doing, guys?
Hi,
Good,
Justin.
good, buddy. So welcome to CryptoEMC. And I think maybe before we go into the big Telos debate, how is it that we have you on the stream today? Maybe you can go into that for us a little bit.
Yeah, I guess we're sponsoring your channel. It's a sort of a partnership we're really excited about. So that's, I guess, a big part of it. We really love the work that you guys are doing here. We really love the honesty that you guys bring to the table. This is something that we don't see a lot in crypto, and it really fits in with how we feel and our culture as a community, and how we want to push things forward with true honesty. And at the end of the day, we're here to help the community, and it's not all about just getting rich. Obviously, we all want to do well, but yeah, we've decided to sort of partner with you guys and support you guys because we love what you guys are doing in bringing real information to the market.
So this is an amazing thing for us, guys, and we're ecstatic about it, and we do hope that you too as well, because it's going to help us even give better service to you. That's the big thing. That's the key to this. So with that being said, I mean, when we look at the way that Telos got born, I mean, Telos was born in 2018, and a lot that happens with new projects these days is it's kind of people go look for money. They look for a big tree. You can equate it to buying a big tree and then go planting it in your garden because you're in a hurry, and then you're kind of stuck with a hope. Will this tree take? Will it die? But Telos did it the other way around. You guys didn't go up trumpets blaring saying, here we are and this is what we wanted to do. You kind of did a different journey. Maybe you can take us through that journey in the sense of how did you guys start?
Oh yeah, no, of course. So we started back in late 2018, or at least that's when we launched. We actually started 6 months before that. I should probably start from that point. So there was like 150 of us. We came together to build the Telos network. We took a code base called EOS.io, and we built a governance layer on top of it that is probably one of the most dynamic governance layers we've ever seen in crypto. And that took quite a long time to build out, as well as all the governance documentation, building out our brand and everything about our network. So we sort of did like a slicing pie model where we shared the workload. People earned slices, for different achievements, for doing hours on code and development and governance and all these different things. And we got to our launch in late December 2018. So this is in the heart of like the bear market.
Bear market, painful
Yeah,
time.
very painful times. and we launched it. We sort of split up. We took around 5%, a pretty small contribution, and split it among the 150 plus contributors. And then we handed the rest off to a snapshot that was based on the older US snapshot. Yeah, very even distribution. There was a cap of 40,000 on the airdrop component, and so we have a very active distributed community. And yeah, so we launched this very high-powered, high-performance network with a native code base of C++ for the contracts. For the last few years, it's been a leading protocol in terms of speed and performance, and it still is leading. But over the last few years, we onboarded, over 100 projects on the native network, and then we sort of only got attention because I should mention we didn't do an ICO, which is very common for a project. Most or 99% of crypto projects do an ICO, and you do this to raise money for exchanges and to fund a big foundation. We didn't do that. We just thought we'd do things organically. So at first we weren't on any exchanges at all. Like, we were on an exchange called Nudex, which I'm sure you haven't heard of.
No.
And so we've built things organically. We were like, oh, let's just onboard hundreds of projects. So we did that, and we thought, if we onboard hundreds of projects, the exchanges will just list us. No, it doesn't work that way. No, you have to pay a fee. So it took us a while to figure that out. But once we did, then we started raising money, but just doing small community raises. They've been helping us out. The community just buying in. We did something called a T-bond raise. That's where people bought these NFTs called T-bonds. And it basically locked up a bunch of Telos tokens for a year. And so the tokens, the fungible tokens were tied to a non-fungible token that had an expiry. And then once it got to that expiry, you could unlock and get your tokens, which is kind of a cool DeFi innovation we did. And then, yeah, we did a few other raises. We recently did a small round with a group of independent investors, 8 million Telos tokens, a million or two each to each investor. Yeah, we now have funding. We got on larger exchanges. We still have the most performant network out there, or equal to or better than any other network. And we ended up releasing an EVM in the last year. For those that don't know, EVM means Ethereum Virtual Machine. It's it's, I guess, a standard that many projects are running on, including Polygon, Avalanche, Ethereum itself, Phantom. So it's a standard code base or standard contract language that enables in Solidity and Viper. And this enables, a bunch of different Solidity applications to deploy on us, or forks of those. And yeah, so that's where we're at now. We've got a world-class EVM. It's the fastest EVM on the market. We've got half-second block times. You can do several thousands of transactions per second. And we're starting to get mass onboarding into our EVM, and it's really got the community and I guess the world quite excited.
That's got people's eyes and got people's attention. But let's rewind a little bit. I mean, let's quickly put this in a simple text.
Yeah.
You started off as a seed instead of a tree, and you slowly waited for rain, and as rain came, you grow. And once people start taking notice, people started pouring water on it. So it grew holistically out of a bear market.
Oh,
and
totally.
I think that's the key. That's the key that you guys need to take away from this. This is not a quick hype. You know us. We're not here. We're the scientist that's telling you in the movie "Don't Look Up" to look up. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. So this is what happened here. Now, with that being said, you've got funds available at the moment. Funds that one would argue is minuscule in comparison to other networks. But you said something to me quite interesting. So basically, let's touch on that. The fund that you've got available, as well as how you're going to deploy it and how that compares to bigger networks.
Yeah, no, it's a very valid point. We have funds now, and previously we're surviving off. I don't know what you'd call it. We in Australia
Love and passion.
we have this. Yeah, in Australia there's this phrase, and I think it's probably global, like surviving off the smell of an oily rag. Like, you know,
Okay.
it's I guess like in terms of a fuel tank, you know, you have basically
Yeah.
no fuel in the tank. But
Running on
we
fumes.
did it. Yeah, running on fumes. That's another one. We did it, and we got hyper efficient and effective at managing funds to push a L1 network. And now we have some funds. You know, probably I haven't looked lately, but we probably have about $10 million worth of funding, you know, to run things, which is a huge increase. We also have allocated 12 million Telos to a grant program called Ignite, and we've allocated, you know, millions of Telos to our hackathon program called Spark. And these are small numbers because, you know, Telos is at $1.20, as you know, at the moment. But obviously, we expect the price, hopefully, I mean, if on the current trends, to continue to rise and that to deliver more. But what we have is we're very effective at deploying capital, probably much more effective than the larger networks. And we also don't need to do as much to continue our fast growth. You know, there's a lot of forks coming over to the network to begin with. We're hyper vigilant with the grants and hackathon money that we have, and we're distributing it slowly. And as we've seen with like Avalanche, Phantom, and others, like they all started, I mean, less than a year ago, many of these networks were at 300 million market cap, which we're at right now. And over the course of like sometimes weeks or a few months, you know, with a good quality EVM as we have the best one, but you know, they just had a decent EVM, and you know, with the gas fees as high as they are on Ethereum, you tend to see a lot of liquidity, a lot of volume, a lot of money like flowing over to, you know, performant EVMs, and we definitely fit that category. So we expect these sorts of trends to continue. We don't have any reason to believe that they won't.
No, I agree with you. I think for everybody else, I mean, give us a 999 in the chat, guys. Who wants to be time travelers with us? Because this is a time travel moment, if you think about it. The reality is big money's still going to find this. Big money's still going to come here. And the goal about investing and buying new projects is there's risk. We said this many times. There's nothing out there that gets done without risk. That's the reality. Looking at the fundamentals, the foundation, the layer, how this is going, and I think, Justin, you can see the oodles of 999s coming through there for Telos. And the reality is that when we take that into consideration and we look at where the future of Telos is going to be, and we look at the trend and we look at the risk, it kind of becomes it gets to that point where you've got Lee jumping and saying, I want to buy now, but he knows he can't. And that's kind of what we want to try and do today as well, is by putting this out for you guys so that you can see the reality of what is happening. You're going to be time traveling. You're going to have a time to turn back the clock, and you're going to buy when it's unknown, because it's still unknown if you think about it. And you can wait until it's known and take profit on the guy that FOMOs. And that's the goal here. That's the trader in me, the investor in me, and the investor in Justin says, I'm never going to sell. But the reality is, you know what? Bills got to get paid. So there has to be some profit taken. And we're going to help you guys to do that, just that. Okay, but Justin, big thing now. We're saying all these things, and I saw some of our viewers. I mean, these guys are a wake up, I have to say. Let's talk about the inflation. Anybody can read the white paper. We you know, and in the white paper is talking about a 2.5% inflation and an infinite, in theory, supply then. And what does that then mean? We talked about inflation yesterday, and I explained to you guys it's like an easy way to tax everybody and take their money. So what is happening with that? Because that's a big elephant in the room here.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's been a little bit of FUD on CoinMarketCap in the chat, and it's just, I think it's just sort of an attack. Some people maybe want to get a good price or whatever. But yeah, to understand why this is totally not true, you just need to understand a little bit about the network and how it works. So essentially, it's a delegated proof of stake network. So it's a type of proof of stake. And that basically means that the power is in the token holders. You know, they vote with their tokens for the direction of the network. That's how consensus is achieved about the evolution of the network, essentially.
Can I park you there? I just want to stop you there.
Yeah.
And earlier you said there's no whale wallet theoretically in the creation of Telos. You capped that. So in theory, if you want to be a whale, if you want to be somebody that's influential in that voting, you're going to actually have to put your money where your mouth is before you get to that point.
Exactly. You know, if you want to be a whale, you can be, but you have to put money and buy it at market price on the market, essentially. And once you have your funds, you know, you can't immediately turn around and sell them at this current moment because, you know, there's only so much. There's only so much volume you can do. So the whales that have come in, they're legitimately buying into this network. They legitimately, you know, are aligned with the network. Whereas on other networks, you know, you can get into a project at these pre-seed rounds, like super half price of what everyone else. That's not the case on Telos. On Telos, you know, if you're a whale buying in, you have to buy it at market price. You'll push up the price as you do that. You have to take a legitimate amount of risk. So you really have to believe in this project long term. And we're starting to see a lot of these whales, I guess, buy in at this moment because we've reached a point where the belief is there. You know what I mean?
People are taking notice.
People know we've been around for 3 years. This isn't going down. This isn't going anywhere. You know, steady, consistent forward momentum, you know, has sort of captured people, and they're not doubting anymore, I guess.
Well, let's get back to that inflation then. Okay, so I'm a whale. I can vote for inflation or what the inflation should be realistically through your consensus model. So is there inflation at the moment? I think that's the big
no, exactly. So currently there is no inflation. There were some unclaimed tokens from our airdrop. So that's formed a reserve, and we're utilizing that reserve to pay into the foundation, to pay the validators, you know, and the core development group. So currently zero inflation, which is fantastic. And the community has decided, hey, we're going to put this much in development, this much in the foundation, and this much to validators. And I should mention, like, all of this is variable. You know, as we go up in price, they're reducing the amount of funds that go to each. So the community is fully in control of the distributions, zero inflation at the moment. And so we're expecting this current token supply to last a good 3 years from now. At that point, we're actually doing a lot of things to generate fees, including the EVM. Fees are going into the EVM account, you know, from people paying their gas fees for trading NFTs, etc. And eventually, as these fees sort of rise up, we're expecting that to actually offset any future inflation and potentially, like, take us down to, or basically keep this zero inflation that we currently have. That's a very high potential, but we'll have to see how it goes, obviously. But the FUD around, you know, unlimited supply or whatever, it's just it's sort of an almost impossibility because, you know, at the end of the day, this is held by a distributed or a decentralized group of people, we're all vested in a low supply. We're all vested in very low inflation. And any inflation that we add to the network as stakeholders, I mean, I'm in the same boat as all of you guys. You know, we want to see maximum growth out of that. We're sort of relentless about this, you know. So if we do have inflation, we want to get an impact out of it. And if we don't, then we'll take the inflation down to zero. So, you know, almost our max supply at the moment is whatever the community thinks it is or wants it to be. At the moment, that's 355. There's actually talk of reducing it down to 350 to make it an even number. So the community's, it's in their hand. 10 billion, which is technically our max cap. It's sort of like fanciful almost that we'd ever get there, like, because no one is interested in that. There's just, people want to see it keep as low as it can be, essentially.
The reality is if you think of it in the simplest terms, we are the government, and if we choose to inflate, we're only inflating our own holdings. And I think that is the incentive that you need to keep behind the reasoning for inflation. So unless you really feel that you need to be taxed for something, there's never going to realistically going to be a vote for that. And that's the key. Unless a big whale comes in and buys up all the Telos and decides to inflate onto the community. But the fact that it's already open in public, everybody can see that data. It's going to yet again make it very hard for that to get that happen in the background sneakingly, with everybody being caught unaware, which is the case with the dollar at this stage, you know, in that sense. So I think maybe we've slain that white elephant in the room, Justin. Definitely. And I think we can move on. What would be the next big thing that I think is going to be important for everybody that is looking at Telos is Binance. Lee, what's your thoughts on Binance? When stuff goes to Binance, quickly just give us something. Just want to make sure you're there, my friend.
I'm here. I'm just listening and try to, you know, calm myself down a little bit. I'm staring at my screen where I've got a comparison of Telos, Avalanche, Polkadot, Solana, Ethereum in terms of speed and market cap. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, TA-wise, is definitely not a buy for me, but, you know, investment-wise, fundamentally, investment-wise and everything, it's every light is green, and everything you are doing since 2018 makes sense to me. And the decision is not like, I mean, just in you decide tomorrow to have, you know, to make a decision, it's going to happen like this. It's in the hand of the community. And from what I've found out about the community and people that are behind the project, I mean, they are all like down to earth guys, honest, and they want all the good for the community. So, and that's why I'm really excited to be partnered with you guys.
Oh, definitely.
So, yeah, full disclosure, we are sponsored. I mean, but if ever there's some place where we would want to be sponsored, I think this is the place that we would want to be. I think that is what we love about this, and the fact that they are transparent with us, which means we can be transparent with you. Now, the big question is, and the big thing regarding Binance is, you know, normally when coins goes to Binance or what's that one in America, the other one?
FTX?
Coinbase?
Coinbase, yeah.
Our favorite, Coinbase. Once it goes there, normally that goes up to a hype and then goes there, and that's the exit liquidity that the whales normally want. So if they market something on its way up to a big exchange, that's normally when we are wary about it and we start selling beforehand, because the reality is
that's why
it won't happen.
I hope we're gonna get our buys before they get listed on Binance,
so that we can take profit on them. Sorry, we are cheaters. We are hustlers. That's the game. You know, we want to buy when it's unknown, we sell when it's known, and then buy it back. Okay. So the main thing is, the big question that I think everybody's going to say, you're on KuCoin, you're on small exchanges, and you're on KuCoin now. So KuCoin is kind of like the test net or the early stages for coins that normally go to Binance. So maybe you can just let everybody know, because at this stage, if it goes to Binance, it can be seen as a big positive because there's no marketing at the moment. So it's going to go onto Binance, and people aren't going to take interest to it too much. but it's going to slowly ease the adoption because more people will have access to it. And I think that's key. Remember, slow growth. So Binance, Justin, where are we at with that?
Yeah, so the foundation has put all our forms in. We're in a conversation with Binance, and it's really in their hands at this moment. And from my understanding, the way that like those larger tier exchanges look at it is they're just waiting for the adoption and the volumes to get to a certain level. I know it's a little bit chicken and egg, of course. If Binance listed us, probably all those things would shoot up. But it is a tough decision for them, and it's in their hands. But we've done everything that we can do. We're very compliant. We did no ICO, so we've done all the right things legally, and our adoption levels are continuing to rise, especially more recently with a lot of DeFi starting to launch on our EVM. So we're definitely on that path where it's very foreseeable that someone like Binance would be ready to launch Telos onto their exchange in the near term, I would hope. But ultimately, it's with them, and I'll find out at the same time as you guys.
Okay, it's with them. It is with the hand of the community and the public, basically. If there's, I mean, as an exchange, you want more people trading, have interest. Otherwise, they won't list it.
Definitely,
but I'm
definitely on the right path.
I'm sure you're gonna get to Binance one of the days. Like you said, it can be next week, can be next year. We don't know, but everything has been done.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think before we close off, there's one more thing that is very important. What has been built? I mean, that's the key, and what is going to be built. So you were talking about that development grant fund that you guys have, and the fact that you're frugal in the way that you spend is wise, and it means that you're not going to just throw money out there. You're going to be looking at it. And I've been sitting on some of the developer YouTubes, listening in on you guys for about a few weeks now, stalking, making sure. And you guys really nicely explained, we're going to look at how much time you really need to do that. And if you're putting in a development grant request for more than that requires, we're not going to be giving that to you guys. So we're going to be very strict on that. And I like that. But talk to us about Telos Works, because I mean, that is basically where there's already proof that this thing is working, and there's stuff being built there and so forth. And then take that into the fact that the grant money and what the goal is with the hackathon of the EVM hackathon, and how that's going to spark new development on this network, because inferably that's where the true growth is going to come.
Yeah, definitely. Great question. Yeah, we are we're very frugal, very calculated with our funding, and but this year, we are opening things up a fair bit, I guess. Strategically, though, we've reached a point where we have world-class technology. We finally have some liquidity coming along, and we want to really put some rocket fuel behind this now. You know what I mean? We want to get the developer adoption in. So this 2022 is the year of the developer for us. The external developer deploying onto our network, especially with the EVM. So yeah, you mentioned Telos Works. This is one of our programs where anyone can apply for funding, and there's a decentralized vote, yes or no. Community ends up deciding if you get funding or not. We've expanded that. We've added on Telos Ignite, which is our 12 million Telos grant program. We're starting to onboard, projects in DeFi, NFTs, Metaverse, the projects that really gain a lot of interest for the network. Once you start seeing and being able to interact with awesome applications on our EVM, that brings higher TVLs, which brings higher lockups of tokens, which makes it really hard to get your hands on the token, and therefore can tend to push the price up, as we've seen on other networks. So that's a really big deal. We've got the hackathon programs going along. Telos Spark, starting with the Telos EVM hackathon, which is on currently. We're asking people to come and build tools and services on Telos EVM. We're also asking people to fork projects. We've seen an early adopter in OmniDex come to our network recently, and they're they've basically done a pancake swap fork and rebranded it and done a really great job. And the TVLs have just shot up in a matter of weeks, you know, still at low numbers in the context of things and where they can go. But they're already at like 20 million TVL in the space of, I guess it's been like 2 weeks. And
they've got like 5,000 Twitter followers.
Yeah, they're doing incredibly well. And that actually, like, our price seems to have doubled since they launched because of all the TVL lockups. And then today, actually, we've got another exchange called Zappy Dex that's launching. So when you take one and then you go to two, and then we've got Wolf Swap coming along, we go to three. And we also have Sushi Swap and others, but it's really the native EVM dexes that really push things along. So those things are being really encouraged with Ignite and Spark. And then we've got Tofu NFT, which launched recently. Still waiting for a collection to launch on that. Area X NFT, and these are just churning. These are starting to come on en masse. And the reason they're coming, obviously, is because the block speed, half second, you know, people can interact with, people can interact with these dexes and do farming at the speed of thinking about it, you know, click, done. It's not like click, wait 6 seconds, do the next thing. It's sort of a transformational experience. It's like going from dial-up to broadband once you've tried it out on Telos. So it's quite incredible
in its essence. I mean, you've got a half second block speed. Come on, guys, that's quick.
It's
Solana is 0.1 second slow.
You wanna? I don't know if you can see. You can share my screen. Can you share my screen just to see the competitors and how Telos is performing?
What I can do is I've got a better image there for you, my friend.
Okay.
Let me quickly get that one. But okay. That being said, while we're on that, there's also a game, Angry Wolf, that's already running, and Metaverse was also on its way, or is it already running there?
There's some Metaverse projects that are coming through our grant program at the moment. We have some things that maybe could be considered Metaverse, but, you know, they're on that fringe, you know. We have a project called Kudo. They have 25 games that is deploying. You could consider that somewhat of a gaming Metaverse. So that's going to be huge this year. We have some social networks, such as Apix. Those are actually on our native network. So the other thing with Telos is we have 2 networks. And they're both very high quality and have different advantages. The EVM, you know, the native network, it already has 100 apps. And the EVM network will expect to have thousands because Solidity is a much bigger language than C++ in terms of blockchain. So yeah, it's really quite exciting times in terms of adoption. So you can bring up the comparison if you'd like.
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about this is what Lee, I think, wanted to share with you guys. So Telos, half second, 2.2. This is a little outdated, but I mean, we've got 0.3 of a billion market cap. Then look at Ethereum. Look at a Solana, Polkadot, Avalanche. I mean, come on, guys. It's a kind of no-brainer. Just this image itself should sell the whole thing to you and understand where the risk is and how little the risk is and how you're going back in time.
There's a question I see now on the chat. That was also my first question when I come across this project. Isn't speed sacrifice for security? I don't know, Justin, if you want to talk a little bit about security, but I know that we had a quite deep chat about this, and we have done our due diligence, and you know, the expert in our team on security-wise as well has give his approval totally 100%, and he's, I mean, on the tech side, they are also like really bullish on that project.
Oh, totally. So yeah, in terms of security, I mean, we've had 3 years plus without any security incidents on our network layer. So yeah, we haven't had any issues. We actually had we did an audit of our Telos EVM. They did a comparative analysis of code between our code and the original EVM, which is Ethereum. I should mention the the original EVM. It's been forked many times as is, basically, with a few tweaks, for other networks like Polygon and Phantom, etc. And so they did an analysis, and they actually found a major vulnerability in the core EVM code. I think it's called Go Ethereum. And actually this resulted in like hard forks on all of the different EVM networks other than Telos EVM. So we put the best teams on our security and auditing. That was actually Sentinel. So shout out to Sentinel. They did an amazing job and probably saved potentially billions of TVL on these other networks. So we were glad to make a huge contribution to the greater Ethereum community through our audit. So our security and is quite impressive, I think. And, the 3 years, I think really speaks to that. I know, some people might critique our consensus model, how do we achieve these great speeds? And I think to understand why it's quite a secure network is because it is delegated proof of stake, and we have a very decentralized holdership. And that is actually the control mechanism. People always get too hung up on, how many nodes, does it have 1,000 nodes or whatever? We have like probably 50 to 100 nodes. And obviously that'll expand over time. But, it's actually all about how does the control mechanism work? And the control mechanism on Telos works via proof of stake, essentially, delegated proof of stake. So how many tokens you have, and that is very decentralized. You can have a network like Solana, has thousands of nodes, but all of those are controlled by the Solana Foundation. So it's like, is that decentralized? No, it's not. It's just a number, like it's great for redundancy if you have 1,000 nodes, but it's all about the big picture. Like Solana's gone down. It seems to be down more than it's up at the moment. So obviously these thousands of nodes aren't helping. So you really need to understand what's actually behind the hood to actually know how decentralized something is, how secure it is, how redundant it is. So yeah, that's, I guess, my explanation there.
I like it. I mean, the end of the day, you don't even just get to be a node because you're there. You get voted in, and your performance gets governed through the smart contract as well. And if you mess up or go down, you can actually lose your spot. And I think I quite like that part of it as well. So Justin, I think we did really, I think we did the community a solid, guys. Give me a 999 for Telos out there and a 777 for Justin. And thank you for taking the time. I mean, you can see as he's talking how the sun is rising. So, kudos to the guy for waking up in the middle of the night almost, getting ready, talking to us, and then coming onto the stream with you guys. I mean, that's the kind of diehard commitment that you would want something to a project should have when you're in it. So thanks so much to Justin. I really appreciate it, and thanks for getting us on board and making us part of the drive to get the word out. I think that's the key.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And it's great to be part of this journey with you guys. Really appreciate it.
So Lee, it's up to you as always to give us the closing ending remark, buddy. So what would that be?
I'm not FA guy. I don't like to do fundamental analysis, but I like to, I'm always optimistic when it comes to a project that you like, Rudo. And we've done this work before. We know how to do it, and I can feel that we are as excited as when we discovered the first world-changing project that we studied.
I remember
in the past.
that one. Fun.
Remember that? And, yeah. So I got the same feeling. Yeah, and I've got the same feeling about Telos, and I mean, I'm really, really excited. If I don't know anything about TA, I will definitely go and jump and buy some coins. And I'm still asking myself if I should buy some right now because I mean, we are targeting 80 cents, 70 cents, Rudo and I. But I know there's also probability that the wave 2 retrace is done, and we're just gonna go for the third wave. So yeah, I mean, we will see. We'll definitely have a look at the chart every single day. We're gonna keep track of this price action because, full disclosure, guys, I don't have not one single Telos in my wallet yet. I think Rudo, you don't have any yet. And if you want to be, if you want to buy, then we have to buy on the market, right, Justin?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as me.
Same as everyone.
So in the spirit of fairness, come on, that's great. So I mean, we do our due diligence. We get the home run projects, and this time round, other than the last time, we actually better at TA, and we can actually get out and bank those gains when they come. And that's part of why we're going to here. We're going to be helping you guys as well to realize those gains. I mean, that's why we're here. Let's be honest. We want to make money, and we want to do it in a manner that we don't get wrecked. So, Justin, thanks for coming back, buddy, or coming on board. We hope to see more of you, and I definitely want to have you back soon, and give us some feedback on how the hackathon went and so forth. And that's it, Lee. I think it's time for us to go hustle.
Yeah, let's go.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys
Thanks,
for being
everyone.
with us. If you like the content, like and share.
Yeah,
Like and share and grow this
Telos.
Telos community so we can get listed on Binance.
Great.
Keep hustling.